Okay, now you were telling me that you called your sister Gigi. Hi, everybody. Michael Henderson Anderson Dorland. I'm not. No, I'm. You can tell this story. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like there's not a lot of people we can jump right on this thing, and Step Pope Richard here is going to uh, just so everybody knows, we're trying something new today. We're moving into Discord, which is why we have little windows of all things. And Dr. T and Dr. Jess are not able to make it today. And Robert is delayed, I think. I'm not sure. He's somewhere around here. And so it's me and Richard today, answering questions, saying hi, pitching things. And right now, supposedly somebody mentioned something about Gigi, and Richard says he calls his sister Gigi, so we might as well just get that rabbit hole out of the way, because it's going to be bothering me for the next hour. So, because I know her name's not Gigi, right? You have two sisters. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. B. Okay. Mm, yeah, Doug. Yeah, yeah, Doug. Huh. Okay. I've got that's interesting. I got Robert in the audience, but I'm trying to figure out how to get him up here on stage with us. Again, people, sorry for the inconvenience on here. We're trying to figure out what we're doing here with Discord. We're trying to move away from the Zoom platform to Discord at least part of the time, because uh, business reasons and everything. I don't want to get in trouble for using my account. I'm sure other people don't want to get in trouble for using their accounts as well. So um, that's an interesting, or it becomes compromised, uh, as it might do, as Loth to, I don't know. Probably should have just done a Zoom call at this point, or a Discord call at this point, to get Robert in here. Um, let's just try that. Let's pop over to a voice channel real quick. We only have one concurrent viewer, so uh, they oh, Richard, you're muted too. Here, we're just gonna move over to a different channel. We'll be right back and everything like that. I'm gonna play a video while we do that. Okay? Watch one of our new things for this week.
Hey you. Yes, you, scrolling past with 3 tabs open and the slow, gnawing fear of economic collapse in your stomach. Let me ask you something. Could you survive on beans, cassette tapes, and pure spite? Because Gen X did, and honestly, we kind of thrived on it. We didn't need side hustles. We had 5 actual jobs, none of which offered dental, all of which paid in gum and trauma. We didn't walk to school uphill both ways. We walked sideways through Reaganomics and asbestos, in sneakers with no soles, in the rain. It was called a commute, and it built character and foot calluses. Our entertainment budget? Ha! We had sock puppets, imagination, and an older sibling with a violent streak. Mom's borrowed VHS camcorder, our sacred possession. You want something to keep you from being bored? We have the cure for that. We learned patience by waiting 6 hours for our favorite song to maybe play on the radio so we could maybe record it, if our fingers were fast enough. No algorithm, no skip button, just hope and a clunky tape deck. Beans were dinner. Hand-me-downs were couture. Resilience wasn't a mood, it was our baseline operating system. So no, you don't have to be Gen X to survive the modern economic dumpster fire we find ourselves in. But you probably want to borrow our magic. We wrote it down in a blog post with beans. Find it at cultofbrighterdays.org. And remember, be nice. If you can't be nice, be kind. If you can't be kind, be funny. If you can't be funny, shut up. If you can't shut up, boomerang yourself to our site and let the chaos baptize you. While you're here, check out our other shorts. Or even subscribe. Not to pressure you, but the almighty algorithm decides how many more people will see this based on what you do next. Our fate is in your hands.
And we're somewhat back. Give me a second. We're going to lose viewers. We have like 5 views. We're going to lose them because we can't figure this out. No, not that one. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We're back. See if you can talk. Oh no, there's no audio for you. There's audio for me and not for you. Go figure that out. That's how it works. No, it's not interesting. This is our inept failure for people who are watching. Congratulations, we are inept. We are ineptly failure specific. Audio input capture. This is called. I feel like I'm working for like the Trump campaign trail and everything. Let's see. Oh, that's good. Let's see if we can do this. Application audio capture. Okay. Search for the host. There we go. Oh, caught your cough right when we needed to. All right.
Sure.
There you go. Yeah, you're pleasantly pleasing. How's that sound? All right. Let's ask the audience or the people who are listening. Do we have this in check now? Look at the chat. Let's see.
It'll take them a few seconds because of the delay.
Right. Okay, so now I have no camera. So let me do that. Richard, so what were we going to talk about today? We were going to talk about something today specifically. I think we were going to talk about what we're actually doing, right? Like what we do as a cult, correct?
I've slept a couple of times since then, but that sounds reasonable to me.
That sounds reasonable. Well, not necessarily as a cult, but we were like talking. I know one thing we were talking about was the difficulty of having it do. Oh yeah, I'm sharing out my screen as I try to get my camera to work great. That's wonderful. We were talking about how to do. What was it we were talking about how to do? Political stuff. Remember?
Sure.
Sure.
How to do political stuff.
Okay. So now I have scratchy audio, and now echo. Who's the echo on that one, Sarah?
Oh, no, I'm muted.
No. had a voice changer on the first channel. Really? Man. Well, welcome to the Cult of Brighter Days. Good word for the week of April 19th, where we're actually trying to do technical stuff we should have done a long time ago. Yay! nothing like being technology and prepared and everything like that. So we still don't have my camera again. Let's see if we can try to get it going again. So, Richard, political. This week has been a political problem. Definitely.
Yeah, well, it seems like all the political problems that have been going on for the last 6 weeks or so, or actually almost 3 months now, 3 months tomorrow, just keep continuing. We do know that the Maryland father who was shipped off to El Salvador by an administrative error is alive, so that's good news. There was speculation that that was not the case, but Maryland Senator Van Holleran, I'm not sure the senator's name, but it's from Maryland, was able to meet with him in El Salvador, so we know he's still alive. We don't know yet whether the courts are going to be able to make the Trump administration actually do anything in this regard, but he has been ordered to bring him back, or at least to facilitate bringing him back, and hasn't really done much. But the judges are definitely weighing in and saying, no, this is not how this is supposed to work. When we say things, you're supposed to pay attention and do stuff. So
I saw that
see how that goes.
Last night they were going to send some more people over, and last night at midnight they had changed it to put out a statement that they can't send anybody from here on out because Trump was trying to send another plane full of people over as of yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so we'll check on our comment board. Is that better, or is my microphone still messed up? I think we're all in a panic right now about tomorrow. Tomorrow should prove interesting. That's all I gotta say. Robert says.
So is there something we? Oh,
I'm still breaking up on YouTube, but Robert did say that the court tried to charge the Trump admin with contempt of court, and then the admin filed an emergency stay. So let me try to fix my microphone real quick here as well.
Yeah. So they can apply or appeal, contact the Supreme Court to ask them for an emergency stay. They might have had to start with the Court of Appeals first.
Okay.
To be able to do that. But in any case, they can't just unilaterally say, oh, we're going to have a stay on these orders. They have to talk a judge into agreeing with them. But depending on what court they go to, they may be able to get somebody to come back and take their side over a holiday weekend, but probably not. Hard to say.
Okay. My audio is picking up, but it's like I could try to change to a different microphone. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, could be a different microphone. What it sounds like on my end is like buffering almost.
All right. How's that?
That's better. Say more things.
If I can't hear you now, figure that out.
Oh dear.
Tomorrow's 420, so everybody will be. That's a problem with the 420 though. I got to thinking about. One thing I figured out with the 420 is that because everybody might be chilled out, and the simple fact is that, the simple fact is, give me a second. The simple fact is that it's still illegal for everybody to chill out federally. That there would be
Under
nothing
federal
to
law,
stop
yeah.
people from federally coming in and hammering on that. Yeah, my audio. So
Yeah.
keep talking, Richard, because I can't even hear you now. It looks like people can hear me, but I can't hear you. So
Okay. Yeah, so it is still
this is
illegal
not
under
fun.
federal law.
Talk. You're entertaining. You're on stage today, not me.
Yes, I can do that. Okay, so the administration could decide to go out to the various states where recreational use is legal and do a bunch of raids and Nazi shit. I wouldn't recommend that they do something like that because they will piss people off that way. Not that people aren't pissed off already, but rednecks like to smoke too, so they have the potential of widening their net of disgust.
Who has the potential for widening? Oh, okay. Now I hear what I sound like. Continue to talk without me.
Almost gone.
Richard's audio is almost gone.
I don't know what that means.
It means we're having not a good day.
Yeah, so, well,
Okay. That.
5 decibels? Well, turn it up then.
I'm cranking you. You gotta talk more into the microphone. You gotta talk into the microphone more.
Like this?
No, actually, yeah.
Does that make any difference?
So, this is a good way of saying we should advertise for somebody who knows how to run these damn things. Yeah, didn't help. Give me a second. Okay. Keep talking, Richard. You're the one that they actually might not be able to hear, but at least you don't sound like a damn robot.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Robert makes a point that federal officials can only enforce federal law. And so, I am not an expert in what the federal law around weed possession and or usage is, but I do know that it is illegal. And I do know that it's troublesome to try to use a bank in states where pot is legal for the dispensaries and whatever. So, because banks are federally ordered a lot of times, or federally regulated, even so. So, the feds do have means of getting in the way of things, even if they can't necessarily interfere with local ordinances. Federal law does trump, for lack of a better word, state and local laws.
Have you
And
tried
so,
plugging it in and unplugging? Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah. Have you tried that with your router? Your wireless. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, there are limits to federal law, but we also have an administration that doesn't seem to care about the limits of federal law. So, I would hesitate to take a lot of comfort or get complacent based on the limits of what is supposed to be in place for federal agents. So, if you are planning to partake tomorrow, keep an eye out. It's also Easter. Tomorrow is Easter Sunday. For those who celebrate. It's interesting that those two things come together.
Yeah.
I don't know of any Christian churches that celebrate Easter with
I'm sure
cannabinoids.
there's some.
I wouldn't rule it out. Oh, I seem to be
Okay.
winding down. So politics.
Politics. And
Is there anything else coming up on
I
deadlines?
think the federal ability to declare martial law tomorrow and arrest everybody for
Hoping
possession.
that somebody in the chat will be able to throw me a lifeline. Robert says it's a sacrament in my church, but so is everything else that doesn't harm someone else. That's a very open church. Discordian, I presume. It sounds very Discordian. I don't know of any Discordian Christian churches. Something else that we were talking about recently is being able to run for office and in which parties to do that. And there is one major party in this country that is not actively trying to institute dictatorship, and one that is. And so I definitely have a favorite. I prefer. I definitely prefer the party that isn't trying to actively institute dictatorship. But I also haven't given up on changing the other party. Just don't know if we've passed the point of no return yet. I was writing a comment to a news website I read this morning. The party that is actively in favor of dictatorship didn't just become that overnight. It was an evolutionary process that's been going on for, at least 30 years, maybe longer. Maybe even 40. But it's been incremental, and it's based off of who is able to win primaries to choose their candidates for the general election. And as long as the crazy pants dictatorship fans continue to win in the primaries, then that party will continue to do their thing that they've been doing for the last 5 or so. Gangbusters over the last 3 months. But there isn't really anybody willing to challenge that faction in the primaries. Oh, hey, there's a voice.
Yeah, I'm back. And
I see you too.
I don't sound robotic. I just sound
It
bad.
sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Well, it's not my good microphone. I don't know what happened there. Oh my God. I was going to say, did you see Trump's Easter message?
No, I try not to see.
He didn't actually say anything bad about other people.
Oh.
He didn't talk about other people other than Christians, which was, it was remarkable for Trump. And on so many levels. So,
Yeah.
you just, you don't have that. You do a good interview and everything. You got a clip, then you can't do that for more than 15 seconds. Got a clip what, Richard? Robert could pop in here. He could have, you could get into the chat and the video, but that's okay. It's a technical screw up day. I mean, the live broadcast. It's the way it works. It's the day before 420. I could blame it on, early participation, except I don't do that, so sort of limits that. Anyway, yeah, so he posted out, and it was like, not terrible. That's a really low bar, I realize. Like, super, super low bar.
Oh, and not terrible relative to the normal terrible that he does, or not terrible on an absolute scale?
Let's see. Let me find if I can find it real quick. As we approach this joyous Easter Sunday, I want to wish Christians everywhere a happy and beautiful and blessed holiday. America is a nation of believers. We need God. We want God. And with his help, we will make our nation strong. Oh, that was pretty much it with the cross.
Yeah.
Actually,
I guess
that's
not terrible is a good description.
Well, actually, I think that's more scary. I mean,
it's definitely got some problems tied to it.
Got some. But Robert says that he didn't write that, obviously. Are you implying that because it wasn't in all caps? That's what I'm thinking. He might be thinking it was a giveaway, that it wasn't in all caps. It did have an icon too.
Any all caps?
It did have an icon at the bottom of it too, so I don't think he knows how to do that. Oh, no. He said it was no vengeance and too legible.
No vehemence.
No vehemence. Well, vehemence, whatever.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like an intern or an assistant or something of that nature.
Yeah, that definitely is. Should we, well, it only took us half an hour to get the audio fixed.
Yeah.
And the video fixed. But now we're fixed.
Yay.
You need to figure out a way to, we need to come up with like natural banter for you. You weren't good as you weren't as an Ed McMahon guy, but you put you in front of the desk. You just have to.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. That's true.
Well, no, I mean it's
I'm
great.
definitely better with some feedback.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, you couldn't have had Laurel if you didn't have Hardy and everything like that. I mean, that's just how it is. But at the same time,
that's why my radio career was all just talking in between songs.
Well, that's not true. We did the morning show. That morning show was pretty good.
Yeah, but it was you and me bouncing off each other.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It wasn't me trying to do a morning show alone. So
yeah. Farrah says he didn't write that. It was almost a coherent thought.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you one thing, and I'm gonna enforce our bipartisanship here, because unfortunately I've been wading through so much financial information and trying to determine how much money we've lost in the household due to the tariffs and everything like that, because my 401k is like a big thing, and we actually had a little bit that we put in the market and everything like that. But one thing I found out is that we did have an economic problem in this country that was going to need to be addressed within the next decade or so, caused by trade issues, not necessarily a trade deficit, because trying to base everything on a trade deficit is just absolutely moronic. I mean, like, oh, that's like me saying, I love the best examples. People started coming up with realistic examples. Is I go to my barber and I get my hair cut and I pay him money, but my barber doesn't ever come and mow my lawn. So there's a definite trade deficit there. You know, I'm paying him for a bunch of haircuts, but I guess I don't go mow his lawn. I don't know. Anyway, it's stupid. Let's just leave it as stupid.
Oh yeah, my trade deficit with the grocery store is astronomical.
I don't know. I think I stole them
keep
enough.
Buying food from them, and they don't buy anything from me.
Sarah says you're doing fine. Quit listening to me, bitch at you. Things about that. Yeah, I think I've stolen enough milk crates from the back of stores to sort of offset it a bit. So, you remember how you had to have those for bookshelves? Like back in college, we had to have milk crates for bookshelves because you couldn't even afford the Walmart cheap ones.
Yeah, I remember those days. I never had milk crates myself, but some of my roommates, who shall remain nameless, did.
I'm sitting right here. What are you talking about? Okay?
I wasn't going to out you.
I just said I stole milk crates for bookshelves in college. You're like, it's pretty obvious that you can't out me at that point.
And I think everybody who's listening to us knows that we used to be roommates, but you know, there are people that might be coming in later.
Oh, that's true.
To view this at another date that wouldn't necessarily know that. And
you were trying to make sure that you couldn't be implicated as an accomplice. I get that. So really, by outing me,
pretty sure the statute of limitations is probably passed.
We got caught by cops once doing that. I don't remember what it was, how we got out of it, but we got cops came up when we were stealing a bunch of milk crates from buying one of the grocery stores. That's okay. I have a lot of stories like that where I've encountered cops I got a speeding ticket. I almost got a speeding ticket on my 10 speed while I was biking home from work one night. It was 2:00 in the morning. You know, I'm driving down. It's in Rapid City, small Midwest town. I'm just going down 8th Street at a breakneck speed because there's nobody around with my hands behind my head. Cop swings around and pulls me over. No prosecution, no crime. Robert says he gets my business, but they don't buy anything from me. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I found out, though, that there is a definite issue with the trade, and it's largely due to the fact, and China brought this up, and a lot of people have said that, mostly on the left-leaning side, is that we have lived above our means as a country, largely by subsisting on slave labor wages from people outside this country. And one of the things that I said when NAFTA came through in 2000, and I said this in 2000 when NAFTA was coming through, was that they kept talking about globalization and leveling everybody out, money-wise and everything like that. And it wasn't so much about bringing all these other countries up to the living standard we had. It was about bringing the majority of our country down to the living standards that were at their place.
Yeah. Well, and actually, neither of those things happened per se. We've definitely had some gap widening, but it's mostly the people at Elon Musk's level keep getting richer and richer while the rest of us just kind of hang level.
Right. But the problem actually started back in the 70s. Largely, could be traced back to the 70s when the textile mills and all the textile work got shifted to overseas after the Vietnam War and everything like that. Because what happened was, and I watched a documentary of this early 80s, they packed up all the machinery that was required to use that stuff and they shipped it overseas, and they set up the shops over there where you could hire people much, much cheaper than over here to do it, because we had unions that protected people's rights and paid a living wage doing that work and managed to keep our prices down. And then the trade, the lack of tariffs and everything let those companies, and Robert's right in the comments there, says the problem with the trade deficit, there's a problem with those financial structures. We keep offshoring manufacturing so companies can maximize profits. And that's a big deal, is the fact that the companies out there are focused entirely on profit, and they don't have any care or concern for the workers. And, that was the same thing that happened when industrialization started. This is the same way that it happened with all of society.
Yeah. In the U.S., there was the same thing happening between the northern and the southern states, and between and continuing into today between rural and urban areas. So it's just a continuing thing, and it does eventually tend to level out. It just takes forever.
Well, but the other thing is, and Robert makes a point here, with the work done in the U.S., labor is only 17% of the costs, but up to 70% goes into stock buybacks. But another thing about our culture is, with the labor costs or everything like that, a lot of the labor costs nowadays is not even focused on manufacturing or creating anything. It's service industries. They're saying that actual manufacturing in the States is well below 33%, which is where it was a decade ago and everything. But that means that 70-some% is actually all service and everything. And so you don't have the high expenses of the machinery, and you don't have the high expenses of all this stuff, but we're still charging these exorbitant fees that go back into the company that aren't going back into a living wage because the price of everything keeps going up. I mean,
it's the whole system is built to make rich people richer.
Well, that's capitalism.
Very much, and it's very much like things were about 100 years ago when we started, even more than, because Teddy Roosevelt really pushed a lot of populism, and the progressive movement in those days, which was a Republican thing at the time, was ending child labor, and I don't want to take credit away from the unions either, because union membership was a big deal, and the power of the unions in those days was also a big part of the deal. But 40-hour work weeks, paid time off, end of child labor, collective bargaining, being able to push back against the powerful capitalists. And then also with the advent of the income tax with the 17th Amendment, then the government can get in on the act and take more and more money away from rich people. The richer they get, the more money gets taken.
Well,
which then can then go into paying for things like FDR's New Deal and LBJ's Great Society. And so we had actually halfway decent inequality between really rich people and poor people until about Reagan, when they started cutting taxes, and things really got bad after that.
Well, yeah, because they cut the taxes so the higher ups actually could make more money. Because there was one of the things, though, after World War II, one of the reasons we had a boom in manufacturing, and manufacturing went so well for us over here, though, was a simple fact that it's something that was pointed out in my research this last week. that we were one of the only countries that wasn't bombed out so much that they could manufacture.
Yeah, there's something to that too.
For like 10 years, we were the country that had the ability to actually manufacture stuff decently. And so that was like a big thing. But like right now, we're trying to go back. So like, here's brand new child labor laws that have come into place then the beginning of the year. So in Indiana, it's removing restrictions on the numbers of hours 16 and 17-year-olds can work. Children who are 14 and 15-year-olds will still be limited to working 3 hours on school days and cannot start before 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. during the school year or 9 p.m. during the summer. Illinois has tightened its labor laws in an update to current laws from the 1930s. Oh, well, there you go. It includes new protections for minors. That's a good one, I guess.
Yeah, Illinois is pretty blue, so I expect that kind of thing from them.
Let's see. There was one state, Colorado, Virginia. There was one announcement that they're saying that 13 and 14-year-olds can work overnight shifts.
Oof.
That was one of the ones I was reading. Looking for some violations and everything. Can you imagine if you were in high school and your role-playing game time was being cut by, having to go to work? I would so be upset with that and everything. I'd be like, no way, I'm not going to go to work. Protecting children should be by... Okay, so Robert had a few comments here. Prior to Reagan, it was illegal for companies to do stock buybacks. That's the point of economic shift. Yeah, stock buybacks has been a big problem. There was a lot of things that Reagan did that were big problems that everybody claimed were the greatest thing to keep us alive. But yeah, they still were big problems. Robert does say protecting children should be a bipartisan thing, but the current Republicans want trained kids early to take any work they're offered. Well, one of the Treasury secretaries, they don't want to just train children. They were talking about these mining jobs they're bringing back and these manufacturing jobs they're bringing back. And somebody asked, well, where were you going to get the people to do the jobs? Because the unemployment rate's really low. He goes, well, that's why we're cutting back all these federal workers. So, these federal workers will be removed from these areas and they can go work in the factories. And they're really making a big pitch how men want to go down and work in those mines, because I want to go work in the mine, because that's what I've always wanted to do, because that's a manly thing to do. And I'm like, really? I don't even know what to say to that. I first off, I'm definitely not really that manly. But oh yeah, Florida. Florida's talking about lifting a lot of laws to make up for their lack of people working. The state legislature...
You drive all the immigrants away.
Hold on, check this out. Robert says black lung sounds fun. Okay, check this out. So the state legislation on Tuesday advanced a bill that will loosen child labor laws, allowing children as young as 14 years old to work overnight shifts. If the new law is passed, teenagers will be able to work overnight jobs on school days. They are currently prevented from working earlier than 6:30 or later than 11 per state law. 14-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean,
they passed through Florida State Commerce and Tourism Committee on Tuesday with 5 votes in favor of the loosened child labor restrictions and 4 against. But it passed. DeSantis is supportive of the law because I think he's a big fan of getting rid of the immigrants and making children do that work.
Yeah. Good luck getting American kids to work overnight and then go to school.
I can't get my kids to do the dishes half the time. Not all the time. How in the heck are they going to go pick produce?
And here's the other thing that I've seen people talking about trying to replace immigrants in agriculture is that when they try to get Americans not to come in and do the work, not only do the Americans not want to, so it's hard to find anybody to even try, but they don't. They're not good at it. Every story that I've seen that had Americans actually picking vegetables, they're just slow.
Yeah, they are. Noah says Iowa is the 13 and 14-year-olds in meatpacking plants. And here it is. The state Republican legislature in Florida on Tuesday will debate a new law, which also includes a number of changes, including eliminating working time restrictions on teenagers 14 and 15 if they are homeschooled, and ending guaranteed meal breaks for 16 and 17-year-olds.
That's dumb.
The number of child labor violations in Florida has nearly tripled in recent years. But you know what, Richard? As soon as they replace your little job of tech support stuff with AI, you're in Wyoming. They got oil fields there. You can go get a job because it's drill baby drill. You might go up to North Dakota fracking and everything, but I'm sure they got a job for you out there. Move into.
I am rapidly approaching 60 years old. Manual labor is not in my future.
Well, I'm not so sure Social Security is in your future either.
Yeah, well, if it comes down to it,
401k is now a 101. Well, and your 401k is now a 101k. So, I mean, and they can only have.
I've got IRAs.
It would have helped. You have IRAs? Yeah, I was going to say, how much are those IRAs worth? Now,
I don't know. They were definitely not worth enough before everything started happening. So I don't know. I didn't pay any attention. It's always been too disheartening to look at those accounts. So I just got out of the habit.
I had Robert says it would help if they didn't remove protections for workers having access to water. Yeah, thanks, Obama. Well, you know what, Robert? Workers should get damn well used to it because the rest of us are going to have to get used to it too. Because I'm sure water's having access to clean drinking water is not a right. I'm sure it's a privilege that we'll have to pay for. But on a plus side, we'll have a solution for autism in September and a cure for it and how to stop this autism crisis that's impacting the United States. Kennedy did come out and say one of the major reasons to get rid of that, to make sure we take care of the autism crisis, though, is because these people with autism, they just won't be able to pay taxes. If they, because they have autism, so obviously he thinks that they're not actually doing anything or working, and so that they won't pay taxes. So it's not, that was the first thing he said out of the gate when he talked about the dangers of autism and the dangers of autism's impact on society, that the people with autism won't be able to pay taxes. Not how it affects their lives or anything like that, not how it affects their well-being or their family or anything. They won't be able to pay taxes. Oh, is that what he meant by that? He said, Robert says they won't be able to pay taxes because companies will be allowed to discriminate against those workers.
Yeah, I mean, that is how these things usually go.
Yeah, because you don't want to have DEI hires because, wait, you want DEI hires according to the way they're thinking because then they would pay taxes, but you don't want DEI hires because...
You got to keep in mind that when Republicans say DEI, what they mean is Black people.
Not all of them. A lot of them mean women, too.
Or gay people. Yeah, women. But primarily Black
disabled
people, but women too.
Disabled. A lot of disabled vets that have been let go. And they want to get rid of things
Yeah.
like handicap parking and things like that because that just is a waste of money and time. Robert says they do it because of agenda, which sort of sums up the whole thing, doesn't it?
Agenda?
Yeah. And Robert says, look, they eventually just want to get back to eugenics. Wow. Okay, we have like 10 minutes left for today. Maybe we should try to figure out a way to spin this grim, bleak stuff positive. I mean, that's the whole point of our group, right? Is we talk about this stuff and we talk about it in a positive light.
Find the positive light.
Well, the positive light is after a half an hour, we got the audio to work.
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll just go back to Zoom.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, we can maybe try our midweek meeting on Discord to try to shake things out.
Maybe.
Not in front of Eva.
One person who's watching.
The one non-council member.
Yeah. You're making a. Oh man. So. Funny. Happy.
So, not particular to the economic stuff yet, but I am glad to see that the courts are standing up and doing what they're supposed to do. It's been encouraging to see Harvard stand up and say, you know what? No, we're not going to be bullied into doing wrong things just because. And even when Trump comes back and says, oh, yeah, well, I'll do other bad stuff to you. They're like, no, that's not really any different. You were going to take money away, and now you're going to take more money away. It doesn't really change anything. We're still going to stand up and say no. We're starting to see some of those white shoe law firms that were being targeted a couple weeks ago. He came back and said, no, actually, the deal that we made before isn't good enough. I want more stuff. And they're saying, okay, I see how this is going. We're going to stand up again. I think the media will be next.
Well, did anything come out of them trying to revoke CBS's license? Or was that just like one day of bluster and they just dropped it?
So far, that's just been one day of bluster.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure how much CBS is licensed for. I don't think. I could be wrong. So if anybody knows better, correct me. But I think CBS's licenses are primarily at their local stations that they own. So New York and Los Angeles. And yeah, that would be a bummer, but it wouldn't stop them from sending their program out to all their affiliates, I think. But even if that did stop them from sending their content out to all the affiliates, it wouldn't stop them from sending anything out over the internet. It wouldn't stop their streaming service, which is the only way I get to see anything from CBS these days, between that and YouTube. Destroying their broadcast licenses isn't the kill shot that Trump seems to think it is.
They could still create this stuff. It was just Sarah redacted her message. Makes me wonder what it meant. Anyway, Robert says one of the networks was told they were in danger unless they signed a contract to do a series on Melania and paid her big. Sarah says, give us hope for the week ahead. We got 5 minutes to give hope.
So
that's because Charity's not here. And Joy didn't show up at the show either. So all we've got is hope.
Faith. Where's Faith? Oh, it's in South Dakota over next to the reservation.
What is?
That's where Faith is.
Oh, well.
Faith.
Okay, now we're down to 4 minutes to come up with something positive for the week.
So they've probably done about as much damage as they can without dropping nukes. So maybe they'll hold out
okay,
for a
and
little
that
while.
came about. That's a question of 420 over in Russia too, because there's supposed to be. There's rumors of stuff happening in Russia for 420. That's not hopeful. Don't say things like that. Knock on wood. No nukes. Sarah, do you have anything to give us hope for? We hope that Sarah's Wi-Fi is working next week, so we don't have to stand up here with this do this. Yeah,
So we can pass the buck between people.
yeah, maybe we'll just have Sarah and T and Jess do a show, and we'll just watch. That would be good. I'm sure people are tired of listening to me ramble.
Yeah.
Well, there's good stuff. There's good stuff to go for the week ahead. If we're all still
I think
functioning
we're going to
after
see good stuff in the
tomorrow,
courts. I
if
think we'll see good stuff in the courts next week. I think there's a chance that some administration officials may be held into contempt.
yeah, what's that mean?
Well, not a lot initially, but it does mean that Trump's immunity won't be extended to the rest of his administration. Giving Trump immunity was one of the stupidest things that I've seen a Supreme Court do since Dred Scott. But it's only the president that's immune. So everybody else is subject to the rule of law.
Yeah, but
And
he
if we
can
see
pardon
people
them.
start to get... Yes.
So, sorry, I just rained on your good news for the week. We got 3 minutes to come up with something
If the
better.
courts will actually stand up and do something, that's a good sign. The better sign would be if Congress starts to stand up and do things. And apparently, even red state and red district town halls are getting an earful from people about Social Security and
Medicare or Medicaid.
Medicaid, all of those things, and also just grabbing people and disappearing them. People are mad about that too, even in red districts.
Yeah, but they've been
If we
grabbing
start to
people.
see Congress moving, that would be a good thing. I don't know that that's going to be next week, but it may be soon.
So here's a question, Richard. Do you think that we're actually in a full constitutional crisis, or we're just now going into it?
Oh, no, we've been in constitutional crisis for a while.
Okay. I just didn't
we've
want to be
been
the
in
one that sounded
crisis
really
since the
negative.
Supreme Court put us in constitutional crisis when they said that Colorado wasn't allowed to keep Trump off of their ballot. And then when they came back and said he was immune to criminal prosecution for stuff he does as president, that just deepened the constitutional crisis. We are in full-in constitutional crisis here.
I didn't want to be the one that said something bad at the last 2 minutes of the show. Thanks, Richard.
You're the one who brought it up.
I brought it up, but you were the one that provided the answer. So there we go.
The good news is that we were in constitutional crisis in 1862. So
What would be a
and we
good
came through
show?
that.
Sarah said that would be a good show.
Constitutional crisis.
Checks and balances can't exclude executive branch. Well, I mean,
Yeah, let's talk about exactly what would be a good show.
yeah,
in
yeah,
our meeting.
yeah. I mean, I think our shows are good. They're just, we should probably, when Dr. Jess isn't around, to keep us on track and focus. Yeah, I know that's why we have 3 branches of government. We have checks and balances for 3 branches of government and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the Congress decided not to do any checks. That's the problem. They can still check him now.
Well,
They could still start impeachment now. They could still impeach him now. They have that ability to check him. The Justice Department, I mean, the court has the ability to check him. They're just not doing it. And even with that,
Yeah.
even with that thing that happened at 1 o'clock in the morning, Justice Scalia and Clarence Thomas did dissent against sending these people to the concentration camp. They didn't say why. They just
I mean, not Scalia because he's dead.
no. The first the
Alito,
yeah. Except
Couldn't
the
think of his
his cult can do violence and he can pardon them. He's trained them on that action response from January 6th. Yes, but we haven't seen a lot of that happen except for in Pittsburgh. Was it Pittsburgh where the governor, or was it Philip? Where was the governor's house firebombed this last weekend?
I don't know.
But I'll tell you, that's what worries me about tomorrow. Tomorrow is one of those days. It's like a holiday that centers around something like this, and they're going to come out with that report about whether or not to declare the cartels an actual terrorist group in terms of attacking them. If we make it through tomorrow, fine, with nothing more than the normal Trump Sunday crap, that's a good sign for the rest of the week. That's all I got to say. All right.
I tend to agree.
That is, Sarah still didn't tell us what a good show would be. She's going to surprise us this weekend. She's going to say, oh, maybe she was saying a good show would be have both of us not talking at all and the three of them talking. I think I agree with that, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good show. Anyway, that's the show for this week, guys. Sorry about the audio problems for the first 20 minutes. We tried something new. It didn't work out and everything. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you people coming in after the fact and just skipping to the middle of the show. I should put a disclaimer at the beginning that says just ignore the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and just go to listen to us talk. Because the audio is all screwed up. So anyway, you have any last words to say there, Richard?
Last words. I'm not dead yet.
Okay, I have some. Yeah, Dr. T, Jess, Sarah, Reverend. Yeah, I agree. That should be next week's show. Just you guys talking. Anyway, we will talk to everybody next week. And, well, hopefully, I might not be here next week. And you might not be either, Richard. We'll have other people that actually are more coherent, probably. Anyway, everybody, have a great day. Thanks for being here.